Taylor Swift, Kingmaker. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Mike Miller writes in Red State, "We're not going to make it, are we? Paul finds Taylor Swift could swing the 2024 presidential election." One of the interesting things that often occurs with elections is that the body of opinion that needs to change for one party to succeed over the other is often not a particularly substantial swing. It can be several hundred thousand voters in particular key areas that makes all the difference between one form of government and another. The reason for this is that often those who vote for the respective parties do so in fairly close numbers, and as a consequence of that, there are certain voters who always vote for the same party, and the swing voters are far less numerous, meaning that where you have a two-party system dominating, that there are so many incumbent voters that vote for the same parties, so that when it comes to a change, you don't actually need too much of a difference for that to occur. One of the issues with that, often with the first-past-the-post system, is of course that voting can be susceptible to a particular influence that is disproportionate. For example, as Mike Miller writes, "Nope, you haven't inadvertently clicked on the satire site The Babylon Bee. Unfortunately, this story is true. According to a new poll, Taylor Swift could sway the outcome of the 2024 presidential election." No, really. Nearly 1/5 of voters say they're more likely, or significantly more likely, to vote for a candidate endorsed by the billionaire singer-songwriter. Yes, it's come to this. The question is, what exactly is this? In a poll conducted for Newsweek by Redfield and Wilton Strategies, 18% of registered voters said they'd be more likely to vote for a candidate backed by Swift, with 17% saying they'd be less likely to vote for a candidate backed by the pop phenomenon, which could bode badly for Joe Biden. 55% were neither more nor less likely to be influenced by Swift's choice. Among all respondents, 45% said they were fans of the singer, and 54% said they were not. Only 6% said they were not familiar with her. While Swift has not indicated who she will vote for in November, she did vow to kick Trump out of the White House with her vote in 2020. Try to control your shock and amazement. Raise your hand if you'd love to debate Taylor Swift with half your brain tied behind your back. Swift once placed on X, "After stoking the fires of white supremacy and racism your entire presidency, you have the nerve to feign moral superiority before threatening violence. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. We will vote you out in November at Real Donald Trump." Does Taylor Swift's presidential preference really matter? Let's do a quick bit of math. Swift's cult-like influence is strongest among voters under the age of 35. The 2024 presidential election is expected to see 8 million new voters and a total of roughly 40 million Gen Z voters, many of whom are influenced by celebrities and social media. Communications consultant James Haggerty told Newsweek, "She's influenced popular culture, sports, and the economics of entire regions of the United States, so why not politics and elections? Celebrity power in elections has grown because celebrity power itself has grown. And in a world awash in messages, it's the celebrity voices that really resonate." Someone want to grab that question and run with it? Media consultant Brad Adgate echoed Haggerty's irrational rationalization, stating, "Swift is in the class by herself. She's so talented and so popular and so ingrained in pop culture, no one is close to her." The bottom line, the writer states, is what exactly is this? This is when we get to a place in America where nearly 20% of the largest voting bloc of the nation is more likely or significantly more likely to vote whichever presidential candidate an out-of-touch billionaire pop star who presumably knows pretty much zero about the everyday life in America, endorses or at least supports. Yep, that's where this is. A complaint, therefore, that a relatively small proportion of the population would be influenced by the observations of a pop star endorsing a particular candidate, so that they would vote not in accordance with their conscience or in accordance with what they thought was appropriate for the country, but what their favourite pop star voted for. There is a lot to be said for analysing truly who ought to be able to vote, but that's observations for another day. A headline such as this, that suggests such power is wielded by Taylor Swift, is something that would very much please her. Although she has no political pedigree herself, she is a pop star, she sees nothing wrong in her offering her observations, as she did against Donald Trump on Twitter. Given that she is imbued with a huge sense of power as a consequence of all the fuel she receives from her adoring fans, and the control that she has over them, that causes her to feel that she has the power and the right to say to people, vote for this person, don't vote for that person. Rather than suggesting it's a matter for you and what are your priorities, what you think is best for you and your family and for the country, someone such as Swift, exhibiting that sense of entitlement, but also relishing the power that she wields to in effect be Kingmaker, means that she wouldn't stand back and suggest the moral obligation rests with you. She will wholeheartedly revel in and embrace the ability to say to people, this is who you should back, knowing that they would do as she commanded. That power, wielded by her to be a kingmaker, is particularly attractive to someone of her ilk. Although she is not an upper Greater Narcissist that ordinarily would be seen as an eminent screeze that walks the corridors of power, largely unknown outside of certain political circles, someone who is there that really does pull the strings of power, nevertheless, as a greater and aware of what she is, she would delight in the opportunity to not only influence the masses of fans that she has, but to have such an influence upon the presidential race, the fate of a nation, and largely impact upon the world as a whole, given America's status as the most powerful nation on earth. This is too tempting a prospect for a narcissist at any juncture, but one of her ilk will see it as her God-given right to be the determinant, to be the kingmaker. There is, of course, no moral compass, no conscience keeping her in check with regard to doing the right thing. She believes that she is right, and she will regard it as a power that she is entitled to wield. Accordingly, an article such as this, referencing the kingmaker status that she has, albeit lamenting that's the case, is ultimately not the point. Whilst you could debate long and hard about the influence of pop stars and whether it's right that they pass such pronouncements and that it marks a sorry state of a particular situation for many nations around the world, that they have such an influence and the electorate is so readily influenced by them, the point is this: it is exactly the type of thing that a narcissist loves. The ability to control, the ability to receive fuel, the ability, of course, to matter. And thus, Taylor Swift has effectively been labelled as Kingmaker, something else to add to the many trophies that she already has. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.